Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NBA and the NFL. I got a brand new video for you, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I got a stud five and some value fives. But before I get started, like usual, I appreciate you guys drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, never ever been here before, the only thing you have to do to be a part of the DFS Zone community, ladies and gentlemen, is subscribe down below and make sure you put on your post notification, that bell icon. Make sure you turn that on so this way you don't miss out on any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Monday, November the 26th, 2018. We have a 7-game slate in the association today, and we're going to dive right in. At point guard today, now, there's a lot of injuries reports going on. You got here Wall with an ankle injury, so on and so forth. It's going to open up a lot of value. Definitely stay on top of it, ladies and gentlemen. Not only that, later on today, obviously, if I make any changes in these lineups, I'll definitely share that with those of you on my Slack chat. So make sure you are involved with that. There will be a link in the description of this video down below. If you have not become a part of the DFS Zone community, subscribe. Make sure you go to the invite link that I'm going to leave down in the description area of the video. And getting yourself into the Slack chat. There's a bunch of us in there. Number of guys are there constantly every day, giving people advice, sharing their lineups, and so on and so forth. It's a really, really nice, friendly atmosphere. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go and sign up for it. All right, it's totally free. All right, so let's get right to it, man. So today, I am all over Kemba Walker. I'm not going to pass up on Kemba Walker. I will have some exposure to Kyrie Irving, but Kemba Walker at home has just been too solid, and he's come through for me, time and time again thus far this year. He's coming in 28 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 45 fantasy points per game, 9,200. You need about 46. And on DK, he is 9,400, so you need about 47 there. Still, definitely a viable play on both platforms, just simply because he is at home. When he is at home, he has been absolutely amazing. 9 games at home, ladies and gentlemen. He has, right now, his lines are 54% shooting from the floor, 47% from 3, 91% from the free throw line. He's averaging 31 points per game at home thus far this year, 49 fantasy points per game. Definitely more than enough to pay off this price, and we know that he has 60-point upside. He's been an absolute beast for this team all year long. Probably as far as the guards are concerned this year, we've discussed it in the Slack chat. I mean, he's probably been the most savage and the most beastly guard in the league thus far this year, other than Embiid, being a monster at center. So, I mean, these guys are he's just an animal. It's no doubt about it. He gets more than enough minutes. The minutes are there. I mean, he's getting 31. I would say he's getting about 35 minutes per game, 34 to 35 minutes a game. The shots are going to be there. He takes a ton of shots. His shooting is got to be 22, maybe 22 shots per game from the floor only. And then from 3, he takes about another, give or take 7, 8 per game as well. He gets to the free throw line. He's pretty aggressive. And, of course, like usual, we always discuss, he does other things other than just score. He gets some rebounds. He definitely assists the ball. He definitely passes the ball. And he gets those steals and blocks. He's a decent defender. He's not great, but he's decent. So Kemba Walker, to me, is definitely someone that I got to consider. The numbers, 46 and 42, just barely under his price tag in the last 2 games. But that's quite all right. That is quite all right. I'm not even concerned with that. What we like to see here for this price tag is if he's getting enough usage, enough shots, and if he's actually getting more than enough minutes. And he's getting it. Usage, shots, and minutes are all there for the price tag. He's at home. He's been just electrifying at home. I am not concerned with Milwaukee whatsoever. Milwaukee's coming in 7th in defending point guards, which is very respectable. 20th in fantasy points per game allowed. They're allowing 32.3 fantasy points per game as of late over the last 5 or 6 games. They're giving up 38 to Jamal Murray just in the last game, 38 to Michael Conley, 39 to Alexander, 49 to Kyrie Irving, and 43 to Kyle Lowry. So they have given up their share to some pretty respectable top-tier guards in this league, some massive points, and I don't see no different here tonight. So Kemba Walker is my guy until I see that he's not having the kind of games he's capable of having at home. Kyrie Irving, like I said, I will have some exposure to him against New Orleans, but I got a feeling he's going to get a lot of Jrue Holiday defense. And if I'm them, that's who I'm going to be, putting Jrue Holiday on. So I think Kyrie's going to have a little bit of a tougher matchup here today. When we come down to get value, If you want to really come down, I mean, Collin Sexton, with the minutes he's getting, I think he's really, really someone to consider here against Minnesota. Minnesota is respectable against point guards. Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose have done a phenomenal job thus far this year against point guards. But if you're going to go down a little bit cheaper, I will go down a little bit cheaper to share with you guys. I think that you can definitely go with some of the Indiana Pacers guards. If you're not on Collison for $4,900, then Holiday is fine at $46, or even Corey Joseph at $45. I just personally feel that Utah, we know Ricky Rubio is not a great defender, and these guys have played against them already. I think Collison got almost nearly 30 his last game out against them. Yes, he did. He got a 29.7 in 26 minutes. They all played in that game. Now, again, Holiday would be someone to consider because he's 3,600 on DK, but that's only if Oladipo is out. If Oladipo is out, Holiday's been getting some of the minutes because of Oladipo's injury. So keep that bear that in mind. 22, 26, and 28. He's been at 22 or better in 3 straight games. He's getting more than 20 minutes. So he'll be able to pay off that price tag if Oladipo is out and they utilize him. I would say Collison, Holiday, or Joseph. Any one of the 3, you'll be fine. Joseph has been shooting the best so far this year away from Indiana. So, I mean, if you're looking for the guy who's been doing the best as far as on the road, Mr. Joseph has been the best one. He's shooting 49% from the floor, 44% from 3, and averaging about 19, almost 20 points per game away from home. So if you want to go with them, I think that's not a bad place to go as far as value is concerned. Any one of those 3 would be just fine. Utah is 6th in defending point guards this year, allowing 31 fantasy points per game. They did give up almost 30 to Collison, which I already shared with you, 36 to Kyrie Irving, 35 to Simmons, 44 and 31 in 2 games against Mike Conley, 34 against Terry Rozier, and they gave up 44 to Lowry. So I think that there is definitely some room there for either one of these 3 boys to be able to get to meet value here in this matchup. We go over to shooting guard. As shooting guard, Harden would be someone I will have some exposure to if I know for certain that Chris Paul is out. If Chris Paul is out, he's someone to definitely consider just as well as Clint Capella. They've been playing very well together, especially knowing that they have to pick up the slack for Chris Paul. So if Paul is out, I definitely will consider sprinkling in Mr. Harden in some lineups. Other than that, I'm not on him. Drew Holiday, tough matchup. He more than likely is going to see a little bit of Kyrie Irving. So I'm going to bypass Drew Holiday here today, even though he is at home and he is excellent at home. So maybe, just maybe, I'll sprinkle him in a lineup. DeMar DeRozan against Chicago definitely is a nice matchup, 8,900. I'm going to have some exposure. I'm just not loving these matchups really. I think the DeMar DeRozan matchup against Chicago is not bad, but he is going up against Zach LaVine, and the same for Zach LaVine going up against DeRozan. So I'm going to come all the way down. I'm actually going down a lot cheaper and go to 6,500. I'm loving Jeremy Lamb here, and I love his price more so on DK. He's 6,500 on Fanduel, 5,600 on DK. On DK, you only need 27 to meet value. And over here, you need about 31, 32. Not that he can't get it done, because we already have started to establish that Jeremy Lamb is the second choice here offensively on this team for the Charlotte Hornets. There's no doubt about it. He has already made that statement, and you can see it in the numbers alone. Let's come over to the cruncher. And if I come over to the cruncher, Jeremy Lamb, look at all this green. I mean, he's been pretty steady. He is definitely actually pretty good as a cash play. I mean, just looking at these numbers, I mean, he is good. If his floor of fantasy points is 26 or 27, I have no problem with that at 6,500, especially with 5,600 on DK, with the upside that he can possibly get me 40. So Jeremy Lamb is not a bad play as a cash play or even as a GPP play. But the numbers are there, man. The minutes are there, as you can see. His home and away splits have been really, really good. 45% shooting at home, 34% from 3, averaging 26.2 fantasy points per game. And let's see, against Milwaukee, he hasn't really shot or played well against Milwaukee. But again, everything has changed. Everything has changed with Jeremy Lamb. This is prior to him being a part of what this is part. Let me just fix this. Sorry. This is, everything has changed now that we know he's an integral part of this offense. Look at the shots out of the last few games. I mean, he's shooting about 11, 12 shots a game, maybe even 13. He is getting out some threes. He's getting to the foul line. We know he's a decent free throw shooter. The rebounds are there, some assists, and he brings a little bit of defense in there. 4 steals in the last 2 games with 1 block, putting up 13 and 18 points from the floor, going up against Milwaukee, who's 27th in defending shooting guards thus far this year. They are 17th in fantasy points per game allowed to shooting guards, allowing 30.3 fantasy points per game. They did give up 30 to Beverly, 40 to Klay Thompson, 65 to CJ McCollum. Most likely they're going to get, lately Brogdon has been really defending the shooting guards, and he's not a bad defender. So that's the only concern with that, is Brogdon may be defending him. But I'm still, again, he's just playing so well at home. Charlotte is at home. They play better at home. He's been playing really good at home as well, other than Kemba Walker. I kind of like both of these guys today. Jeremy Lamb is my shooting guard stud for today here in today's slate. We go over to shooting guard as far as value. I kind of like, just because of the minutes and everything, Justin Holiday. Now, you can't consider Jordan Clarkson, especially now that we know that David Nwaba is out. Him and Clarkson were sharing a little bit of the time. I think Nwaba was starting. I don't know if he was starting at the 3 or the 2, but Clarkson has been getting some minutes there as well. Clarkson could be a nice play here against Minnesota. But I'm going to go with Justin Holiday for Chicago. I mean, he's been getting a lot of minutes. And when you're getting minutes, that's exactly what you want for 5,700 when you can get a ton of minutes. He's been getting 31 minutes or better, 39 to 40 minutes in the last 2 games, and he has had 2 double-doubles in a row. And he's just playing really well. Look at the defense in the last 2 games. 2 blocks and 4 steals. He's put up a 40 spot and a 53.6 spot, nearly 54. We come over and take him, and he is at right now at 5,700. You need 27 at that price. On DK, he's 4,800. 4,800. You need 24 to meet value. 24 to meet value. He's excellent at home. His home and away splits, 49% field goal percentage at home. And 44% from 3. He's been shooting fabulous at home. Compared to his away, 35% field goal percentage and 36% away from 3. So he's obviously shooting about 6-7% better from the floor and from 3 at home, and averaging 27 fantasy points per game. So, I mean, and then the last 2 games he's been solid. The minutes have been there. The usage rate is up. His usage rate is usually about 15%, but in the last 2 games, 20 and 21. And look at the shots over the last few games. My goodness, 18 from the floor, 13 from 3, 16 and 10. If he's going to keep getting that kind of usage and he's going to take that many shots, I definitely want a part of Justin Holiday. So Justin Holiday is in play for me today as a value play. He's going up against San Antonio. They're 21st in defending shooting guards, as you can see here. They are 27th in fantasy points per game allowed to shooting guards thus far this year, allowing 32.6 fantasy points per game. They did give up 36 to Moore, 26 to Thompson, 26 to Beverly, 34 to Booker, 47 to James Harden, Fournier 34, and Ellington 30. So quite a bit of fantasy points. I don't see no reason why he cannot get 30, maybe even more fantasy points today, Justin Holiday in this matchup. So he is my value play at shooting guard. We go to small forward. At small forward, interesting today in small forward because I like Kevin Durant. I'm going to give you guys Kevin Durant. But I'll also have some exposure to Meritek, especially if Anthony Davis is out. If Anthony Davis is out, I definitely want some of Meritek. I want to definitely have some of Julius Randle in this matchup against Boston. But right now, Kevin Durant, out of all the studs today, I kind of like Kevin Durant and AD the most, and that's only if AD plays. So right now at the moment, I'm going to give you Kevin Durant with no now, again, Kevin Durant is definitely more in play if there is no Draymond Green. I love him even more so without Draymond. So let's keep that in mind. I should mention that Draymond Green is still game time decision today. So we'll take a look, and we'll got to monitor that throughout the day. But if Draymond Green is out, definitely KD is definitely in a good spot again here today. KD coming in 28.7, pretty much 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 49 fantasy points per game. He's pretty much averaging 50. 11,500, you need 57 here on DK. He's 10,009, you need 54 to meet value. Again, he's been trending upward. I mean, his trending has been great. He's averaging 50, and he's been at 51 or better in 4 straight games with 2 60-plus games in a row. So he is truly on fire right now, and you're gonna have to run and stay with him, and put him in your lineups, especially when there's a favorable matchup, and in this case he is in a favorable matchup once again. So Kevin Durant, now granted Orlando's doing very well here, but Orlando's not faced a lot of guys like Kevin Durant who's going to take the kind of shots he's going to take, have the usage, have all the skill sets that he's bringing, that he can shoot from the floor, from the 3-point stripe, as well as from the foul line, and can be able to just drive and take the ball to the basket when he wants to and create his own shot. So again, tough matchup for Orlando, even though they're the second best as far as defending small forwards in the league. So his home and away splits have been really good at home. 53% field goal percentage, 34% from 3, 93% from the foul line, 50.5, pretty much close to 51 fantasy points per game on average. Again, going up against Orlando, second in defending small forwards, second least amount of fantasy points given up to small forwards this year. Orlando's done very well against small forwards, allowing only 18.8 fantasy points per game, which would be a real big shock if they were to keep him down that low. I doubt it very much. He has one of the highest floors in today's slate. But LeBron James only put off on a off night. He shot very bad that game, put up 38 against them. But J.J. Redick put up 32. Dotson of the Knicks only 4. Porter only 16. Kevin Knox of the Knicks only 5. So really, the reason I'm mentioning those is just to point out to you guys that they really haven't faced anybody like Kevin Durant other than LeBron James. So I definitely like the top tier play here with Kevin Durant going up against his team. So Kevin Durant is in play for me. Other than that, like I said, Marichik is definitely in play. I definitely like Robert Covington in this matchup against Cleveland. And even Otto Porter is in a good spot here against Houston. But then again, he's going to probably face some P.J. Tucker. P.J. Tucker is one of the better defenders for the Houston Rockets, but he has played well as of late. We're going to come down, as far as value at small forward, I'm going to come down to one of the Indiana Pacers. And this time I'm not going to take Tyreke Evans. I'm going to go with Mr. Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich at 5,300, already played against the Jazz. I love the fact that he's been playing over 30 minutes. He's had it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of his last 6 games at 30-plus minutes. He has 40-point upsides. You can see he got a 42 spot here. Let's take a look at him a little bit close. 42 spot here. Again, 15 points, 4 rebounds, pretty much 1.5 assists, 22.8, pretty much 23 fantasy points per game. He is 5,300 here, 26 you need to meet value. On DK, he's 4,700. You need about 23. Over the last 10 games, he has had, his floor has been only 22 or 23 fantasy points per game, which is about his average. So for those of you guys out there looking for a cash play, he may be a nice cash play as well because he is pretty consistent at that 22, 23. But he has that 40-point upside, so I like him here as a GPP play as well today. His home and away splits have been solid. It's 54% shooting away from Indianapolis from the floor, 54% from 3. Going up against Utah, all right, Utah is 21st, one of the worst defending three-pointing teams in the NBA, giving up 36% shooting to three-point shooting teams. And Indiana comes in 5th in three-point shooting as far as in the league, 37% shooting. So they're right there. A team that gives up about 36% is one of the worst defending, going up against a team who's one of the better shooting three-point shooting teams. And Bogdanovich being a pretty decent three-point shooter, you're not going to get a whole lot from Bogdanovich other than his scoring ability. He can score from the perimeter, from 3, and can shoot the free throws fairly well. He's not going to get you a lot of blocks and steals and so on and so forth. But I still like him there at that value. Going up against Utah. Utah isn't the same team as last year, guys. They aren't the same defending team. They're a little bit more of a fast-paced team. They've changed their whole way of playing. They're coming in here 16th in defending small forwards. If I could find my friend here. Where's Bogdanovich at? Yep. And just look at Bogdanovich again real quickly before I go over. 32, 34, 30 minutes, like I said, but the usage rate also up 20 and 22% over 2 out of the last 3 games. And he's getting more than enough shots, man. As of late, he's getting about 10, 11 shots per game. And you know he's going to get his 4 or 5 threes as well. And as you can see, he is pretty consistent from 3. He's usually at that 50% point or better. And then, of course, that's pretty much all you're going to get from him. He has the occasional steal here. I see he had 2 here and 1 here. But Bogdanovich is a scorer, And he's in a good spot. Like I said, Utah 16th in defending small forwards, 29th in fantasy points per game allowing 32.6 fantasy points per game over the course of the last 6 games. Bogdanovich in the last game out against them put up 30.9, which is pretty much a 31 spot. They have given a 45 to Butler, 44 to Tatum, and 32 to Kyle Anderson. So again, I do like Bogdanovich here getting at least 30 or better, and we know he has 40-point upside. So Bogdanovich is my value play there. We go to power forward. At power forward, we got to pay attention to this news. Like I said, AD is definitely someone I really like a whole lot tonight, because there's nobody in Boston that can stop him if he plays. So if he plays, obviously I'm not on Marichek. I'll be on AD, and AD will probably be one of the guys that I would probably have the most exposure to in this slate. Other than that, I mean, you can't pass up LaMarcus Aldridge. As much as I've told you guys, I'm not a big fan of LaMarcus Aldridge. The last time and the one time I gave him to you guys was 2 games ago, and he was in a favorable matchup against Indiana with their injuries. And I told you he had to be a play. And what he went out and did, he put up 57. He put up a 57 spot. He's in the same similar situation here again today. Chicago has nobody up front that can defend this guy. Nobody. There's just nobody there. So he's in a matchup where he should do well. 17, almost 18 points per game, 11 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 37.6 fantasy points per game. You can round that out to about 37, 8,500. You need 42 from him, and on DK he's 8,100. You need 40. He's averaging 38. Come over here. LaMarcus Aldridge. And we know that his usage is going to be fine. He's getting about 24-25% usage rate pretty much over the last, pretty much throughout the season. He's at that, I would say 23 to 24%. He's getting more than enough shots. We know he's going to take shots. He's getting about 16, 17 shots per game on average. And, of course, he's going to get rebounds. And he has the occasional days in games that he can get some blocks. So he'll defend a little bit and get some extra additional fantasy points, which we love. His price tag is up a little bit from the last game, 81. He's now 85, so they pumped him up $400 more, and that's obviously due to the matchup. They know what they're doing, all right. But he's still at a fair price. This is a guy that's about a $9,000 player, as you can see, $9,100. You go into last year, and he was even as high as $10,000. So LaMarcus Aldridge, definitely as far as price is concerned, he is definitely a good enough play here. At home, his home and away splits have been okay as well. 44% field goal percentage, 76% free throw shooting, averaging 11 rebounds and 1 block per game, 36.5 fantasy points per game away from San Antonio. I don't see no reason why he cannot do well enough here. He should be able to put 40 or better in this game. Chicago coming in 29th in defending power forwards, 22nd in fantasy points per game allowed to power forwards, allowing 34.9, pretty much 35 fantasy points as of late. This is over the course of the last 7 games. I tallied this. Siakam put up 34 against them in the last game. Giannis put up 50. Gordon Hayward put up 30. Larry Nance Jr. 34. Anthony Davis 71 and Millsap 36. Now again, these have all been defended by Jabari. Parker, we know that Parker is not that good of a defender. So I definitely like LaMarcus Aldridge in this matchup against Mr. Parker. We go down and we're going to get some value here. Power forward value to me, man. I was debating this one, man, because Derek Favors is in a good spot against Indiana, especially if there's no Sabonis and there's no Turner. You definitely can look at that. We come down a little bit further. Markieff Morris going up against Houston, but then again, he's going to probably face a little bit of defense there from Mr. Markieff Morris is going to probably get some defense from his own brother. So, and he's not a bad defender. I think Marcus Morris is a little bit better. I'm confusing you. Sorry, guys. Markieff Morris is not playing his brother. He's playing up against Houston. He's going to deal with P.J. Tucker. So, anyway, as far as the guys that I'm considering, Markieff Morris, but I'm going to come down. I'm going to have some exposure to Marvin Williams because of the matchup. Milwaukee really doesn't have anybody there, and he's been playing more than enough minutes and really been involved, and actually he's been scoring as of late. But I'm going to come down to Taj Gibson, man, at 4,100. His price is just a little too cheap. 4,100. He's coming in here averaging about 11 points a game, 6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 25.4 fantasy points per game. 4,100. You only need 20 from him. And on DK, he is 4,500. You need about 22 there. still very much attainable. He's averaging 25 fantasy points right now. Granted, his minutes are down, and I told you guys that will probably more than likely happen as soon as they got Dario Saric. Dario Saric's price is up, and his price has come down, but he's still getting more than enough minutes to pay off this price tag, especially if he can get up some points. And he has 40-point upside. He's done it once, twice already this year. Exactly 42.7. He's done it 2 times. Let's come over and take a look at him a little further here. Taj Gibson. And as you can see, his price tag, this is a guy that's about a $5,500 price tag, and he's at $4,100. He's a $1,400 discount. Now, granted, he's not getting the same amount of shots as he was getting here, 11, 14, but 5 or 7. If he can get anywhere between 6 or 7 shots a game and still be able to go out there and get about 7 or 8 rebounds and get a couple of blocks and steals, he's going to be able to smash value here for us. And I believe he can. He's going up against Cleveland. And his home and away splits have been good as well. Sorry, I'm skipping by a couple of things. But Taj Gibson, looking at here, what I wrote down, his home and away splits, 53% field goal percentage away from home, 50% from 3, 8 rebounds, 28 fantasy points per game. That is obviously above his price tag. He's been very, very good on the road. The longest he gets is 20 to 20. As long as he gets 22, 23 minutes or better, and he could put up there, I would say, 8 or 9 points from the floor and get at least 6 or 7 rebounds, he's gonna meet value. I think he's just a fantastic play here today, and just due to the fact that he's just too cheap. All right, he's going up against Cleveland. They're 4th in defending power forwards, 9th in fantasy points allowed to power forwards, which is fantastic. They're playing very, very well there, allowing 25.4 fantasy points per game. Their last game out, they held Blake Griffin to 44, which is still a large number. Marvin Williams put up 25. Jabari Parker put 25. Jeremy Grant put up 26. Mr. Aaron Gordon put up 37. And Thaddeus Young put up 25. So between Thaddeus, Grant, Parker, and Williams, they're all in that same vicinity as far as skill set, in my opinion, like a Taj Gibson. And Taj Gibson can get you 40. So I think at this price tag, he is just too cheap. And those guys are actually all priced a little bit higher than him right now. So Taj Gibson is definitely in play as a value play. We're going to go over to center. And at center today is pretty easy for me. I mean, Vucevic had an incredible game last night. He's definitely someone I'm going to consider here for sure at 9,000. You only need 45, and he's averaging 44. But Clint Capella stands out the most because there's no Dwight Howard. And if there is no Chris Paul, I love Capella even more. So he'll be more of a lock to me, to be totally honest, if Chris Paul is out, because him and Mr. Harden are going to just get crazy busy. 8,400. He's averaging 17 points, nearly 12 rebounds a game, 1.5 assists, 40 pretty much fantasy points per game at 8,600. You need about 43. On DK, 7,900. You only need 39, and that's right above. That's right below his average. So I definitely love that price on DK. Put up a 38 spot against Cleveland the other day. Still had a double-double, had 4 blocks, and massive gains prior to that. I mean, he's been really on fire, trending upward. He had 57, 56, and 67 in 3 games prior to the last game against Cleveland. Let's come over and take a look at him a little closer on the cruncher. He's also, his home and away splits have been pretty good. He's been pretty good on the road, 66% field goal percentage, 11 rebounds per game with averaging 2 blocks as well. Did have a solid game against these guys, 42 spot in his last game against these guys, which was last year. We'll take a look at that real quickly. Yes, he put up a 42 spot against Washington last year in the one meeting he had against them. But overall, I mean, the minutes have been crazy the last 2 games. Look at the usage rate here, 21 and 22%, and look at the shots, 14 and 21. Now, with no Chris Paul, he's going to get those kind of shots. He's going to get those kind of shots. This game here, didn't he play that well? It was a little bit of a blow, but none again. He was not involved in the offense. He still went ahead and got 10 rebounds. But, man, look at that. 40 minutes, only put up 4 shots. So I expect a bounce-back game then. Even with that, even with only 4 shots and 4 baskets, which is 8 points, he put up still 38 because he was able to do the other things. He got 4 blocks. He was able to get 3 assists and 10 rebounds. And that's what you want to see. Guys are not playing well. The team is not playing well. That they're doing something to help the team out. So Clint Capella is definitely in play for me today. The usage rate, the shots are there. You can't go wrong. Going up against Washington, they're 20th in defending centers this year, 23rd in fantasy points per game allowed to centers, allowing 36.6 fantasy points per game, nearly 37. They did give up 43.8, pretty much a 44 spot to Nurkic in the last game, 40 to Jared Allen. pretty much a 29 spot to Tristan Thompson, 35 and 49 in 2 respective games against Vucevic. Mr. Whiteside put up 50 against them, and Mr. Marc Gasol put up 49 on them. So Clint Capella is right there in good company. Should be able to get 45 or better in this game. Should definitely meet value, maybe even crush it. And as far as that, I mean, as far as anybody else, Rudy Gobert will be in play for me, hands down. Obviously, he'll be in a great spot if there is no Turner or no Sabonis. Either one of the two are out, I definitely will have some exposure to Rudy Gobert. I think everybody should. Now, it's even better spot for Rudy Gobert if there is no Turner and Sabonis. If both of those two guys are out, then definitely this game should revolve around Rudy Gobert up front, especially if there's no Donovan Mitchell. So I will definitely keep my eye closely on this as far as Turner is concerned and Sabonis. But again, I want to let the viewers know, keep an eye on that injury report. If Turner or Sabonis, either one of the two are out, I definitely will like some Rudy Gobert. I think everybody should definitely consider that. And if they're both out, then he should be definitely someone that you should lock in at 8,100. Other than that, if there's no AD, obviously Julius Randle will be someone I will have exposure to. And then, of course, I do like Tristan Thompson here against Minnesota because we all know that Karl Anthony Towns is not a great defender. So Mr. Tristan Thompson is in play for me at 6,500. He is 6,100 on DK, so you pretty much only need 30 to 31 or 32 the most here on DK for him to meet value. And he's been playing really, really well, man. He really has been. The minutes are there, 30 or better over the last 4 straight games. 3 double-doubles in a row. I mean, he's been playing well. I mean, he has 6, 7, maybe 7 or 8 double-doubles this season thus far. Actually, more than that. 7, 8. Probably about 8 or 9 double-doubles. So Tristan Thompson is playing really, really well. Solid at home, 48% field goal percentage, 13 rebounds per game, and averaging 32 fantasy points per game, which is above his average. So he is solid at home. So worst case scenario, if there is Chris Paul in the lineup, there could be a chance that I'm going to pivot over from Capella over to Gobert, especially if there is no Sabonis and no Turner or one or the other. I'm going to probably have more exposure to Gobert and maybe not have any very little exposure to Capella. But if, again, that's all due to the injuries. And, of course, remember, Tristan Thompson is definitely a fine player, 6,500. That's basically it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. I mean, again, comment down below anything you want to comment. If you want to discuss anything regarding the slate, you can. Remember, down the description of the video, there will be another link for today for the next 24 hours for those who want to join the Slack group. It's totally free. Basically, take the invite. You go in there, and I pretty much accept anybody that really is to come in, and that's basically it, man. Other than that, drop a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I mean, we do NBA videos pretty much the whole entire week. I usually take Sundays off. Didn't do a video yesterday. I focus mostly on football on Sundays and, of course, family time. So I definitely need that one day off. But we're back and rolling. We'll be doing NBA videos throughout the whole rest of the week through Saturday. And NFL video usually goes out on Friday or Saturday as well for the week. So be on the lookout for that. Again, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And basically, that's it. Good luck, and I'll see you guys on the next video.